Hey, Chris Rescue cleaning windows of the Fylde Coast. Just wanted to drop a quick video today. During the past week while we've had off for Christmas, etc., I've had the pleasure of a couple of conversations on social media about window cleaning and running the business, etc. And a couple of questions that have seemed to be a common theme is things like, how do you get reliable customers? How are you able to sort of, you know, how are you effectively, able to get a customer that is reliable? And you have to ultimately set your stall out and make it clear that you are a reliable contractor, you're a reliable person to perform that service, but ultimately that customer has to be equally reliable, and so you have to set the expectations. Okay, so for example, if a quote arrives through our website, we will offer a quote. We might look at the property on Google Earth or something like that, or a 3D view, and then what we'll do is we'll offer a price based on access and stuff like that. But once you've offered that, once you've got the price in your head, you're thinking to yourself, right, okay, it's going to be 20 quid every 4 weeks, okay? And ultimately the quote runs a little bit like this. In the form of an email or text, we will send the terms and conditions out to them, which will be as more or less as follows. We will clean the windows every 4 weeks starting on this day. The price will be X, and that will include your windows, your frames, your sills, your doors, front and back, etc. We will clean the windows in all weathers, safety permitting. We do not accept cancellations on the door for things like weather, etc. Any cancellations must be given in good note with reasonable notice, i.e. brackets 24 hours. We then sort of say, we then sort of say, well, we'll text you the night before. We just need you to leave your access unlocked and clear of pet mess, dog poo, etc. If, having been texted, the access is left locked or blocked, we will clean the windows that we can reach safely, but we will not climb gates. We will charge the full amount to cover our costs. And yeah, basically, we put at the bottom of that, then we say something along the lines of, if this is suitable, please let me know and I will get you booked in, and then I'll sign off. Right. Now what that does is ultimately that says to the customer, right, okay, well, he will do this, he will perform the service, and he will do it for X amount, and he will do it this often. But when you sort of talking about things like not climbing gates and all this sort of stuff, I've discussed in other videos why we don't do that, and it should be self-evident. But you're effectively setting the bar, you're setting the tone for the customer. This is not really a negotiation. This is a case, it's almost a case of, for us now, this is what we do, this is how we operate, okay? And if you agree to that, then happy days, we have an accord and we'll go forward with it. There's also an added advantage for this as well, is that there's an express expectation on both parties as to, what we deem as reliable, etc., and all that sort of stuff. And should it come to it, you have a written record, if you like, a text message or an email saying that they agree to those terms. And if they agree to those terms, and there's ever an issue over payment, you have a screenshot, ultimately, of that agreement. And I have gone to the small claims court with stuff like that on 3 occasions. And on 3 occasions, the customer has paid out. So the thing is that you have to, set your stall out as a reliable business, okay? And then stand behind what you do. Stand behind what you do and why you do it. And do it in such a confident way that the customer understands, actually, yeah, that's perfectly reasonable, and it's understandable. Because the thing is if people say, when I've said in other videos and stuff like that, and even when I've spoken to people, they feel a bit sort of nervous about charging the full price. Yeah, and it's understandable if you've not had that discussion. So I choose to get that out of the way. I choose to have that conversation at the beginning, because if there's ever any doubt down the line, I can always turn around and say, well, I'm sorry, Mrs. Jones, we agreed to this in advance. You agreed to these terms and conditions, okay, and that's how we operate. The customer then has a choice of whether they carry on or whether they don't. And the thing is that if you talk to people and you can communicate effectively, you can ask for whatever it is you want, okay? And then the customer might agree, they might disagree, but the thing is they can't argue that they don't know where they stand. And that's the key, that's the crucial, the key piece in the puzzle, isn't it? You can argue whether or not I'm being unreasonable. You can argue or not whether or not I'm being professional. You can argue whether or not you agree down the line. But what you can't argue with is that you agreed at the very beginning of the process. And so, you have laid your expectations out. The customer has agreed or not. And you can go from there. If the customer agrees, happy days, no drama. Yes, Mrs. Smith, I'll sort your windows out for you. Not a problem at all. If they don't agree or don't get back to you, not interested. On to the next. So you just have to, have confidence in who you are and what you do, and the rest takes care of itself. It's a new thing for newbies starting out and being self-employed and running businesses, being in a position almost to dictate terms. And I can completely relate to that. Oftentimes as an employee, you are having those terms dictated to you rather than being in a position of saying, well, actually, this is how I operate, this is how we do things, etc. You don't have to explain why. You just say, this is our policy. Okay? Now, if the customer asks you, oh, why do you do that? Then you can answer why you don't do that. For example, when a customer's ever turned around to me and said, well, why do you charge the full price if you're only doing part of the property? And I always say, well, I've gone out of my way. I've texted you the night before to make you aware that I'm coming. I've booked staff and things in place to achieve what we agreed at the very beginning. And ultimately, if you don't leave your gate unlocked, it's not really something that's in my control, but I still have costs to cover. They may not like that. They may agree. More often than not, when you speak to people reasonably, they completely understand that you have costs to cover. If there's ever a bun fight down the line about who agreed to what and why, you can say, well, there you go, you agreed to it, it's here, and that's that. And the thing is, people turn around and say, oh, well, it won't stand up as an agreement. Well, it will. If it's a text message or email with their name at the bottom of it, and you can turn around and say, well, did you write that email? Well, yes, you did. Right, in that case, you've agreed to those T's and C's. And that's that. So, correspondence and emails, when you keep copies of them, they do stack up, and they are effectively a sign that someone has agreed to what they have agreed to. And that's that. So, and even if it doesn't go that far, they've got in the back of their mind, actually, yeah, you remember this conversation, I did have an agreement with it, and I might not like the fact that I'm paying full price, but if I've left my gate locked, then it is the way it is. It's like with the bin men. If you don't leave your bin out and it's bin day, well, tough shit, they'll just drive straight past your house. They won't stop. They won't give two sugar frosted fucks that it's not been done. They're just moving on. So, it is what it is. It's nothing personal. It's just how you operate. But the thing is, if you treat every single customer like that, then every single customer knows exactly where they stand. And it becomes a process. It becomes a system. And if you operate within that system and it works for you, happy days. That's what you want. So I understand completely the other side of the argument, where window cleaners of old would just sort of turn up, cross the fingers, climb a gate, whatever, clean the windows, turn up with, drop a little chitty through the door and then say, well, actually, I've been to clean your windows, Mrs. Smith, and you owe me X, and this is the other, this is the thing, isn't it? That is not something that, a customer will hold no value to that, because you're just a guy with a ladder and a bucket that does X, that just turns up when he feels like it in their eyes. Yeah. That is not necessarily how I see it, but the reality is that, that's how the customer sees it. And if you can come across as a reliable contractor and a reliable business and offer these T's and C's and offer a structure and offer a system, then you're not going to be tarred with that brush. If anything, you're going to stand out from the crowd. in that respect, aren't you? You know, you're not going to be seen in a negative light. So, you know, that's why we do what we do, when it works for us. So, yeah, I just thought I would drop that quick video. As usual, if you like the content that I put out, please like and subscribe to the channel. Leave a comment, ask questions, etc. Throw the occasional insult if you like. You might be surprised what comes back. On that rather contrived bombshell, keep on keeping on, boys and girls. Happy New Year, and I shall see you in the next video. Keep on keeping on.